We are back for another UFC preview and predictions. The main event this weekend. Oh my goodness, Max Holloway, Yair Rodriguez. It's a shame this is not in an arena, but we're at the UFC Apex, and we'll see how many people show up for this one for Dana White's $4,000 ticket packages. It's all right, though. I mean, no matter what, the main event, incredible. Max Holloway, Yair Rodriguez. The winner of this fight will be fighting for a world championship against the champion Alexander Volkanovski. I'm so pumped for it. We've got a very good 12-fight card here in the UFC Apex this Saturday night. And I mean, real quick, we gotta take a look at last week's card. UFC 268, we went 11-3 on the card. Another tremendous night for us. I'll be the first to say it, though. I thought Colby Covington won the main event. I don't know. I thought he won 3-4-5. Might be a little bit of bias on my part, but still, incredible night. We went 11-3. Let's look for more of the same success this week here on this card. And folks, if you haven't yet, make sure that subscribe button down below for some more UFC here on the channel. So our first fight is between Kennedy Nzechukwu and Jung. We are back here with Kennedy Nzechukwu, and hey, we're 2-0 picking this guy. Took him against Carlos Ulberg. He wins that fight by second round KO, and then we pick him to beat Danilo Marques as well. More of the same success, and Nzechukwu's striking, man, keeps on getting better. You see it in the Darko fight. Wins unanimous decision in Newark, New Jersey. He then goes on to beat Carlos Ulberg in one of the best statistical comebacks in UFC history. UFC 259 getting the knockout finish. He was like, what, a plus 350 underdog. We took him, and he cashed on that night, and more can be said about the Danilo Marques fight. He battled through some adversity in that fight. Marques with 2 big takedowns in that fight, 7 minutes of ground control, but eventually in the third round, when that fight did come back to the feet, Nzechukwu finished it and put away Danilo Marques. Maybe a little bit of an early stoppage, but whatever, we'll take it. Nzechukwu with the win in that fight. Now, he's taking on a guy in Jung. Jung is 14-2-1 in his professional career, and we will look back at his 3 most recent fights. You look back at the Mike Rodriguez fight. It's a knockout, big right cross by Jung to put away Rodriguez in the first round, a minute into the fight. A year later, takes on a very old Sam Alvey, and Sam Alvey nowadays, boy, he's on a 7-fight losing streak, but Sam Alvey goes to a draw with Jung. Jung looks good early in that fight, but tends to fade late. And Sam Alvey on one of the cards one of the judges had a win for Sam Alvey over Jung. The other one had it for Jung, and the other one had a draw. So you're looking at a guy in Jung who on the feet is still having fights where he's having draws with Sam Alvey. Concerning when you're taking on Kennedy Nzechukwu, but after that, though, Jung proved me wrong, going in, picking up a very impressive performance against William Knight. Now, was it the most entertaining? Maybe not, but over 12 minutes of control time for Jung in his victory over Will Knight. He was 8 for 9 on his takedowns on that night, and it was a dominant, and I mean dominant, 30-26 victory for Jung. So this fight's simple, man. Can Kennedy Nzechukwu keep this fight standing, and will he have enough opportunities to put Jung away on the feet, or will it be Jung dominating this fight on the ground, kind of what like Danilo Marques was doing against Kennedy Nzechukwu before Nzechukwu finished him in that third round because Danilo Marques was really tiring towards the end of that fight. It's a close fight, man. It truly is, because I like Kennedy Nzechukwu. Again, I picked him twice in a row. He's hit big for us twice. But Jung, man, the wrestling out of Jung is looking really good. And again, on the feet, I would say it's a pretty big advantage for Kennedy Nzechukwu, because you look back at the Jung fight, his first fight in the UFC, it was against Hadias Ibrahimov. Ibrahimov was not a very good UFC fighter, but Ibrahimov, man, outlands Jung in that fight, given it was all Hadias Ibrahimov working in that first round through 111 significant strikes in that fight. In the first round against Jung, he landed on 59%, or 53% of those in the first round, and really, if Jung didn't get the finish in the third, it was going to be him winning that fight 2-1. But that's concerning, because if you eat that many shots from Kennedy Nzechukwu like you did against Hadias Ibrahimov, Nzechukwu's going to finish you. But again, it goes back to, can Jung secure that takedown and keep landing those takedowns, similar to what Danilo Marques did against Nzechukwu? It's simple, and we've seen Nzechukwu get finished on the ground after his winning the fight on the feet, similar to the Paul Craig fight in his first time in the UFC back in Philadelphia. I'm ever so slightly, though, going to take Kennedy Nzechukwu. I'm going to take him again. I mean, I have to. Nzechukwu's my guy. I think he's going to beat Jung. I think he will be able to find those opportunities on the feet. Nzechukwu does not need much time on the feet. Very similar to the Danilo Marques fight. He was getting beat on the ground, but in that third round, the fight's always going to start standing, man. It always starts standing every single round. I think Nzechukwu is going to find that shot, and I think he's going to put away Jung with a second round knockout, continuing his success as of late. Now we have got Mark Diakiese taking on Rothwell Alves. We'll start first here with Mark Diakiese, and Mark Diakiese again in his last fight losing to Rothwell Fiziev, and same can be said about Rothwell Alves losing to Damir Ismagulov, and that was Alves' first fight in the UFC. They give him Ismagulov. That's tough, because Ismagulov's a guy who, again, he did miss weight in his last fight, fighting Magomed Mustafayev. The fight got scrapped, but Ismagulov's a very tough first fight in the UFC. For Alves, though, does have his moments of success in that fight. Did land a knockdown on Ismagulov. Again, that was in the first round. That was really when Alves landed 2 punches in the entire round. It was all Ismagulov, but still, Alves had some of his moments, but in the end, you knew that Ismagulov won that fight 2-1. Before Mark Diakiese here, Diakiese's a guy coming off that Fiziev loss. It was all Rothwell Fiziev in that fight. Again, Diakiese stuck in there with them, but I had it all Rothwell Fiziev. I think a lot of people thought it was 30-27 for Fiziev. One judge, I believe, did have 1 round for Diakiese. And before that, for Mark Diakiese, a very impressive performance on the ground against Lando Venata, landing 4 takedowns in that Venata fight, over 5 minutes of control time. And that's really what I want to point out. Hey, you got a guy in Ismagulov who did land takedowns on Rothwell Alves in their fight. He had a lot of ground control in that fight, held Rothwell Alves down on his back, and if Mark Diakiese can follow that same game plan, it's going to be all Diakiese in that fight. You saw that in the Lando Venata fight, 4 takedowns for Diakiese. Before that, the Joe Duffy fight, 3 takedowns as well. He lost to Nasrat Haqparast in a fight where he just got outstruck by Haqparast. He got subbed by Dan Hooker in their fight back at UFC 219. He lost a split decision, close fight to Dakar Close. Diakiese's been in the UFC for a while, but this fight's pretty simple. Honestly, I think Diakiese on the feet, I think, might be better than Rothwell Alves. I think he is. And I think on the ground, I think Diakiese's better too. It's just a tough matchup for Rothwell Alves. Yes, I know he did stay in there with Ismagulov. I know he did win a round against Ismagulov, which is impressive. But Mark Diakiese, even though he hasn't won a fight in a while, it has been since 2019 where he did beat Lando Venata on the Hermansen Cannoneer card in Copenhagen, Denmark. It's been a while, sure, but still, Diakiese's striking is always going to be there. His ground game is going to be there as well, and his opportunities of landing offensive takedowns, I think, is going to be huge in this one. I don't know if Alves will be able to stop those, and I don't know if Alves is really going to be able to contend with Diakiese on the feet either. I think this is going to be all Mark Diakiese winning this fight. I think he wins in the ground. I think he wins it on the feet. And I'm going to go with Mark Diakiese to win a unanimous decision over Rothwell Alves. Now down at 125, we've got Courtney Casey taking on Liana Jojua. And for Courtney Casey, coming to this fight with a record of 9 wins and 9 losses. She's coming off that split decision loss to JJ Aldridge. I picked Courtney Casey to win that fight. It did not go our way because JJ Aldridge kept landing the takedowns against Courtney Casey. 4 takedowns in that one for JJ Aldridge, and ultimately that was the deciding factor in that fight. However, for Jojua, her last fight honestly was just kind of sad. She lost to Miranda Maverick. She gets her nose just split open in the first round. Tremendous elbow, perfectly placed by Maverick. And yeah, they go to the corners at the end of the first round. They don't let Jojua out of it because obviously, I mean, go look at that fight. Just go look at the pictures from Jojua from that fight. Her nose is just busted open. Oh my goodness, it's ugly. It is ugly. Maverick outstruck her throughout that entire first round, and it was a good victory for Miranda Maverick. She's now on her way in the division. I know she lost her last fight to Macy Barber. She didn't lose that fight, but the judges on that night, I don't know what we're doing, but still. Jojua loses that fight to Maverick. Before that, she picks up her first win in the UFC by beating Diana Belbita. She gets an armbar finish early in the first round, and before that, she made her UFC debut in Abu Dhabi, losing to Sarah Morris in a fight where she was getting outstruck by Sarah Morris. She landed the takedowns, but kept getting reversed on the ground once she ended up getting it, and Sarah Morris finished her by TKO late in the third round. Courtney Casey is a fighter that's been in the UFC for a while. She made her debut in Glasgow, Scotland, July of 2015 on the Bisping vs. Styles ladies card. She loses to Joanne Calderwood. She's on the road in that one, losing to Calderwood by unanimous decision, but she's been in the UFC ever since, fighting some very good fighters. You got the Claudia Gadelias of the world, Felice Herrig, Michelle Watterson, Angela Hill, Cynthia Calvillo, Jillian Robertson, just some very good fighters that Courtney Casey has faced. And what has Casey been very good at recently in the UFC? It has been her striking. The JJ Aldridge fight, all the success that Courtney Casey did fighting that fight was through striking. The Jillian Robertson fight, it was all through the ground that Robertson was winning, and on the feet, I guess Courtney Casey was doing pretty well, but really that entire fight was Jillian Robertson rinse and repeat takedowns, getting the fight on the ground. But then you look at the fight that Courtney Casey has with Mara Romero Barella. Barella lands the takedown in Jacksonville, but Courtney Casey, she's got Barella in her guard. gets the armbar, finishes the fight. It's weird to gauge how really good Courtney Casey is on the ground because sometimes her jiu-jitsu looks very good. Her defensive wrestling's terrible. 38% takedown defense in the UFC is not very good. 27% takedown accuracy is not very good either. So really, Courtney Casey, if she wants to get the fight on the ground, she can't. But if she gets taken down, she really's got no other option. But her jiu-jitsu on her back really isn't horrible as well. The thing is, I don't think Liana Jojua is going to be trying to take down Courtney Casey. I don't think it's going to happen. I know she took down Morris twice in their fight in 2019, but I don't see it happening because for Jojua, if she were to do that, she's at a massive disadvantage on the ground jiu-jitsu-wise with Courtney Casey. Like you saw in the Morris fight, Morris was the better grappler once the fight did end up on the mat, not trying to get takedowns. Obviously, I think Jojua is going to be able to take down Courtney Casey if she wants to. The thing is, will she and should she? She shouldn't. So that just brings us to a striking fight between Jojua and Courtney Casey. Who's the better striker? I think it's Courtney Casey, right? I mean, you see Courtney Casey in her last fight with JJ Aldridge. Again, is Aldridge the best striker? No, she's not. But Courtney Casey on the feet had some success. You look at the Calvillo fight. Sure, she got outstruck by Cynthia Calvillo for 15 minutes. That fight didn't hit the mat. Calvillo outstruck her, but still, Cynthia Calvillo is in the top 10 of the weight class, and she's going to be fighting later on against Andrea Lee, and we're going to talk about the fight when we get there. But Casey, she lands 111 strikes on Angela Hill in their fight. Split decision, very close fight. On the Gagey Vic card, she outstrikes Jessica Aguilar. She outstrikes Felice Herrig. She has somewhat of a competitive fight with Michelle Waterson. Waterson, though, kept landing the takedowns on Casey, and I think that's got to be the game plan for Jojua to win this fight. But again, you go back to it. If Jojua lands the takedown, I think Casey's jiu-jitsu is better. I think that's going to put Courtney Casey in a good position to win the fight anyways. So when you break it all down, it all points to a Courtney Casey decision victory. I think she's better on the feet. Takedowns, wrestling-wise, she's not better than Jojua, but once the fight gets to the ground and pure jiu-jitsu, I think Casey's got the advantage there too. So we're going to go with Courtney Casey to beat Liana Jojua. She gets it done by decision. Now at 145, we have got Sean the Sniper Woodson taking on Colin Anglin. And for Sean Woodson, bouncing back after a stunning defeat, really, to Juicy J, Julian Erosa, Woodson comes back. He picks up a split decision win over Youssef Zalal. It's a fight where it's close. Did Zalal win that one? I don't know. He went 2 for 17 on his takedowns. Sure, he had a lot of success when that fight did end up on the mat. As Zalal barely outstruck Woodson, it's a close fight. Go watch it for yourself. I don't know. I could go either way with it. I'm cool with the Woodson victory. I picked Woodson to win the fight, so of course we were fine with it. But for Sean Woodson before that, he's got that fight against Julian Erosa. He's like a minus 650 favorite. It was ridiculous. Erosa comes in there. Woodson knocks him down in the first round, but Erosa comes back. He gets takedowns on Sean Woodson and finishes him with the Darce in the third round. You look at a guy in Colin Anglin, though, that Woodson is fighting this weekend. Colin Anglin comes in the UFC, winning on the Contender Series. Very good performance, wins it by unanimous decision, outstrikes his opponent, and lands 3 takedowns in that fight as well. Has some control time, about 5 minutes of control in that one. Winning that contract in September of 2020, that's cool, but then you go back to Anglin's last fight. It's against Melzik Bogdasarian, who Bogdasarian in his last fight just a couple days ago beats Bruno Silva. Hey, we picked that one right. I actually picked Anglin to beat Melzik Bogdasarian. I thought Anglin had the opportunities to win that fight, and I really thought it was going to be the wrestling that was going to get it done for Colin Anglin. Did it happen? No, it didn't. Melzik Bogdasarian gets taken down by Anglin in the first round, but he reverses it right away, and Melzik Bogdasarian ends up on top in that fight. He eventually, in the second round, knocks down Colin Anglin and finishes him in that fight with a brutal head kick. I don't like that Colin Anglin's fighting so soon after getting knocked out by Melzik Bogdasarian. That fight happened on July 31st. We're in November now. It hasn't been that long. It's been less than 4 months. I don't like the quick turnaround for Colin Anglin, considering he's fighting a guy whose nickname is literally the Sniper, who has a very good reach advantage and just a tremendous striker. I don't love the matchup. I don't love the matchup at all. Sean Woodson's gonna have a 7-inch reach advantage against Colin Anglin. He's a big 145-pounder. Woodson is 6'2" compared to Anglin's 5'9". It's gonna look somewhat like a mismatch on the feet, I think. I really think Woodson's going to be able to keep the advantage on the outside. I think he's going to be able to touch up Colin Anglin. And really the only way Anglin wins this fight, which is a definite possibility though, is through the takedowns. You saw Youssef Zalal have success on the ground. Given it took Zalal 17 attempts to get the fight down. He only got the fight down twice and it took him 17 attempts. Okay, that's going to suck for Colin Anglin. Because again, he got the takedown once against Bogdasarian. Bogdasarian flipped it right away. But that's how Colin Anglin's got to win this fight. Because on the feet, I just don't think he's going to have too much success against Woodson. I think Woodson's striking is too good for that. I just don't know how he wins it on the feet. On the ground, yes, Anglin will have the potential to win this fight because you saw Zalal have some success on the ground. And you saw Julian Erosa land the Darce against Woodson as well. But all around, when you break this fight down, Sean Woodson should win. Woodson should win on the feet. He should be able to stuff the takedowns against Anglin. Again, Zalal shot 15 unsuccessful attempts against Sean Woodson in their fight. And sure, can Anglin eventually land one? Definitely, but I think Woodson will be able to get up if Anglin does land that takedown. So I'm going to go with Sean Woodson to win this fight. I think he's actually going to get a finish as well. I think he's going to pick up his first finish in the UFC by KO, or honestly, first finish ever. He picked up that win over Terrence McKinney by flying knee in the contender of 2019. I think he's going to finish Colin Anglin. I'm going to go another second round finish, Sean Woodson by TKO. Straight up banger at welterweight. I don't know why this is on the undercard, but here we go, man. Miguel Baeza and Chaos Williams. Guaranteed fireworks in this one. And I know I think we said that for Michelle Baeza versus Chaos Williams, but I guarantee you this one, man. This one should be fun. Because Miguel Baeza, if you miss his last fight against Santiago Ponzinibbio, I picked Baeza to win that one. Didn't go our way, but one of the fights of the year. Ponzinibbio wins it by unanimous decision. It's such a good fight, and Baeza always gets in those good fights. And now, is it the best for him winning? Maybe not, because he took some bombs from Matt Brown, and I know Matt Brown is on a win streak now. He picked up a win. He's going to take on Brian Barberena, and spoiler alert, I think Matt Brown's going to beat Brian Barberena. But anyway, Baeza takes some bombs from the immortal Matt Brown, and sure, if this was Matt Brown 5 years ago, I get it, but Miguel Baeza was supposed to go in there and absolutely destroy Matt Brown, which he did in the second round, and he got the job done pretty early in the second, but Matt Brown had his moments in the first round, which was a little bit concerning. The Takashi Sato fight from Miguel Baeza, dominant. Again, I will say this many times, it was the fight that no one was really watching because that was when Mike Tyson was fighting Roy Jones Jr. Still, though, I was watching both at the same time. Baeza with the arm triangle choke in the second round. Okay, you look at his opponent, though, in Chaos Williams. Chaos Williams, the nickname suits itself. Pure chaos in the octagon. First fight, the Alex Morono fight. One of the greatest knockouts. I mean, one of the greatest, like, scrambles. Just, Williams goes for it in the first round. 27 seconds in, puts down Morono, wins the fight. The Abdulrazak Alhassan fight, he knocks out, he puts out Abdulrazak Alhassan. He knocks him out stiff. And it's not like Abdulrazak Alhassan is all that bad, because Razak Alhassan has picked up a huge win recently, and that guy's going to fight Joaquin Buckley later. I mean, Razak Alhassan beat Alessio Di Chirico. He only needed one strike in that fight. He got the job done. Razak Alhassan's a good fighter, and Chaos Williams knocked him silly in 30 seconds. Michael Bisping said it himself. Like, Razak Alhassan was down for like 6 minutes. It was getting to the point where it was scary in the Apex. He got up, obviously, and now Razak Alhassan's picking up wins again, but Chaos Williams, tremendous victory in that one. The Michelle Baeza fight's interesting because we were like, I guarantee fireworks in this one. I will give Chaos Williams a pass because he took that fight like very short notice. It was only a month after the Abdulrazak Alhassan fight. Michelle Baeza is such an interesting fight style, and also Michelle Baeza incorporated the takedowns in the fight against Chaos Williams. Chaos Williams could not stuff any from Michelle Baeza in that one, and that's ultimately what lost in the fight. Baeza used the takedowns alongside the grappling with alongside the striking, and he won the fight. Now, Miguel Baeza is not the guy who's going to take down Chaos Williams. It's not going to happen. It's just not the way Baeza is going to fight this fight. He didn't attempt to take down against Ponzinibbio. Why would he really? But it's going to be a striking battle. Williams, you know the power this guy's going to bring. You know the flurries that Chaos Williams will always bring at the start of the first round. Chaos Williams is always best in the first round, and I would like to see the same again with Miguel Baeza. Baeza is going to be in his best in the first round. Williams is going to be in his best in the first round. You've seen Williams score the knockout finishes over Morono and Razak Alhassan back-to-back to start his UFC career. For Miguel Baeza, again, you got the aggressive fight style that you saw in the Matt Brown fight and that you really saw in the Takashi Sato fight, getting the fight to the ground early and finishing him. I just don't think Baeza is going to do that against Chaos Williams. I think we're going to get this war like you saw in the Ponzinibbio fight. Baeza-Ponzinibbio round one is a freaking war. I mean, Baeza lands 39 shots in that one. The second round he loses, the third round he loses as well, but it's just such Baeza's fight style is so fan-friendly, and the same can be said about Chaos Williams. I think Williams is going to have his opportunities because Baeza leaves his chin up a lot in his fights. He's going to go to war. It's just the way Baeza fights, but he leaves his chin up, and Williams, if he takes advantage of it, he can knock out Miguel Baeza. I can see it possibly happening. But now, towards the latter ends of the fight, I like Baeza in the second and the third. I think if Baeza can get out the first round with Chaos Williams and he can avoid taking a huge power shot from Chaos Williams, I think he would be better set up to win in the second and third. So it's really, do you think Baeza can get out the first round with Chaos Williams? I will lean towards yes, and that's why I'm going to ever so slightly take Miguel Baeza to win this fight. I think he wins it by decision. I don't think he's going to be able to finish Chaos Williams. Chaos Williams has a very good chin. It's hard to put that guy away. It's never been finished. Miguel Baeza, never been finished as well. I don't think we're going to see a finish in this one, just considering how close these two guys are. And again, this is one of the closest fights on the entire card, but we are going to go with MMA Master Zone, Miguel Baeza to beat Chaos Williams. He's going to get it done by decision. Yeah, another one. Why is this on the prelims? I don't know. I mean, you got Cynthia Calvillo. She's a ranked fighter taking on Andrea Lee. Calvillo's ranked, what, 5? Andrea Lee is 12. Don't know why it's this low on the card. Cynthia Calvillo is coming off of a main card spot on UFC 266 against Jessica Andrade. And before that, oh yeah, she was on another main card against Caitlin Kuchagian. And before that, oh yeah, she was a main event of a fight night. Whatever though, I guess, I mean, it's okay. Cynthia Calvillo, Andrea Lee, it's an interesting fight. Because Cynthia Calvillo just fought about a month ago. And she got knocked down in that fight against Jessica Andrade. Given it was a standing knockout and everything, but still, the referee saved her in that fight. It's concerning because Jessica Andrade lands 34 strikes to the head in that first round against Cynthia Calvillo, enough to end the fight. And you're fighting that soon after? Andrea Lee's a good stand-up fighter. She is. Andrea Lee's got a very good Muay Thai. I'm concerned that Cynthia Calvillo's chin's not going to be all there for this fight. Now, is Andrea Lee going to knock her silly into next week in the first round? Probably not. That's just not the power Andrea Lee has, and really not the power that anyone at 125 is going to have, other than Valentina Shevchenko and probably Jessica Andrade. Now, that's okay, because Andrea Lee, her ground game in her last fight looked very good. Now, she was outstriking Antonina Shevchenko, but she takes down Shevchenko in the second round, and it's just dominant. I mean, that entire second round was just hell for Antonina Shevchenko. Andrea Lee, she's got her in that triangle armbar that entire second round, and eventually Shevchenko tapped with 8 seconds left in the round. It's a dominant performance for Andrea Lee. It was all Lee in that fight, and she was coming off 3 straight losses where it was 3 fights that, like, okay, yeah, I think she lost the Roxanne Modafferi fight, but no one's telling me that she didn't beat Lauren Murphy, and no one's telling me she didn't beat Joanne Calderwood. I thought she won both those fights. Now, the Calderwood fight gets tricky, and I can see either way in that one. Lauren Murphy, she didn't lose that fight. And Lauren Murphy didn't beat Joanne Calderwood in her last fight either, in my opinion. I don't know. Lauren Murphy, I think, gets lucky a lot on the damn scorecards, and her nickname's lucky for a damn reason, I guess, but for Andrea Lee, you can make the case that she's undefeated in the UFC or at flyweight, or in the UFC, other than the Roxanne Modafferi fight. And yeah, Modafferi's gonna have a retirement fight, I think, coming up next year. I think it's against Casey O'Neill, if I'm not mistaken. That's all fun and games, I guess. I mean, congrats on the retirement, Roxanne Modafferi. Yeah, I think that fight's in January, but Lee's a good fighter, man. Andrea Lee's a good fighter, and her stand-up game has been evolving over her UFC career. Again, she's got that fight where she comes in, she beats Ashley Evans-Smith, she outstrikes her, she outstrikes Montana De La Rosa. I know she gets taken down 5 times, but that's what Montana De La Rosa is going to do. Andrea Lee gets back up and she outstrikes her. The Jojua fight, Lee gets takedowns, Calderwood gets takedowns. It's a pretty even fight. Jojo gets the win, though. Lauren Murphy fight, Murphy lands the takedowns against Lee, but Andrea Lee was pretty dominant on the feet in that one. I don't know how she didn't win. The Roxanne Modafferi fight, Lee's winning on the feet, but Roxanne Modafferi does what Roxanne Modafferi does. She gets takedowns and she wins the fight. The Antonina Shevchenko fight was all Andrea Lee. You know what Cynthia Calvillo is going to do, though? Cynthia Calvillo's ground game is tremendous. The Jessica Ai fight, just takedowns throughout those 5 rounds against Jessica Ai in a main event. The Marina Rodriguez fight, does she win the fight? No, it's a draw, but she lands 3 takedowns in that one. She lands 2 takedowns against Botello. She lands 2 takedowns against Jojo Calderwood, winning that fight in 2017. The Andrade fight, though, she didn't attempt to take down. I mean, we went into that fight, it was like, okay, that's what she has to do, but then you think about it, Jessica Andrade's takedown defense is very good, so Calvillo couldn't even go to that. The Kuchagian fight, I believe she gets 1 takedown, but Kuchagian popped right back to her feet, so Calvillo didn't really have any ground advantage in that one, so she couldn't take down Kuchagian, she couldn't take down Andrade. She's probably going to be able to take down Andrea Lee, though. Lauren Murphy's done it, Modafferi did it 4 times, that's what won Modafferi the fight. Montana De La Rosa did it 5 times. It's just, can Andrea Lee win the moments in the feet to win her the fight? I think it's entirely possible because, again, Calvillo fought about a month ago. She took a lot of damage in that fight against Jessica Andrade. I just don't like that short turnaround. I don't like it at all. I think this fight's set up for Andrea Lee to take Cynthia Calvillo's spot in the top 5 of the weight class. And you know what? Yeah, I'm going to take Andrea Lee to beat Cynthia Calvillo. On the ground, yeah, sure. Calvillo is the offensive wrestler in this one. If she's pushing the pace on the ground, yeah, she will have the advantage against Andrea Lee. I'm not disputing that at all. But Andrea Lee will have her moments on the ground because of her jiu-jitsu off her back, like you saw in the Antonina Shevchenko fight. If Andrea Lee has got Cynthia Calvillo in her guard, I'm not too concerned. I think Lee's going to work pretty well for guard in a fight against Cynthia Calvillo. It's just going to be, can Calvillo advance her positioning on the ground? Can she move to half mount? Can she move to side control? We'll see, but really, I'm going to take Andrea Lee. On the feet, it's all Andrea Lee. I think it is. I just don't trust what Calvillo's done since the Andrade fight. Again, it's been about a month, and I think on the feet, it's going to be Lee. On the ground, yes, Calvillo will have her moments, but so will Andrea Lee, and honestly, that's why we're going to go with Andrea Lee to beat Cynthia Calvillo by decision. I think we're not going to see a great Cynthia Calvillo in this fight coming off that loss to Andrade just about a month ago, and yeah, we're taking Andrea Lee to beat Cynthia Calvillo by decision. Very interesting fight now. We've got Thiago Moises coming off a main event spot. Now he's on the prelims, taking on a very dangerous fighter. It's the Spaniard, is Joel Alvarez. Alvarez, 16 wins by submission. Moises, you know the ground attributes that he does possess as well. This is a good fight, man. This is a tremendous fight. But honestly, though, I think we might see a case here in this fight, like Colby and Usman. I think the grappling's gonna cancel itself out here. I don't think either guy's gonna want to go on the ground. Well, at least I think Joel Alvarez might want to go on the ground. I don't think Moises really wants to play with it though, because you saw in Joel Alvarez's last fight. I mean, he gets taken down early, but he sinks in an armbar 3 minutes in the fight. And he wins the fight. I mean, he didn't really do much in that one. He sits in guard and he wins the fight by armbar. He didn't have to, like, again, Alvarez lets himself get taken down because he depends on his ground game and he knows how good his ground game is. The same can be said about the Joe Duffy fight. Duffy takes him down in the first round, but Joel Alvarez is like, all right, cool, guillotine, fight over. Yeah, I just, every fight, Alvarez is not stuff to take down yet in the UFC, because why would he? Because his ground game is that good. He's dependent on his ground game. But you saw in this last fight where he couldn't land a takedown, or when the fight stayed on the feet the entire fight. It was the only loss in the UFC is to Demir's Magulov. As Magulov outstrikes him for 3 rounds, Blakovic Santos back in 2019. Kind of like what Thiago Moises did in his last win, and that was against Alexander Hernandez, a fighter who Hernandez, good offensive wrestler, good power from Hernandez, but Thiago Moises comes out there, he outstrikes Alexander Hernandez for 3 rounds. I believe, I'm not mistaken, that was a fight where Alexander Hernandez and his camp were asking Bruce Buffer if he read the scorecard wrong, and that could be a different Alexander Hernandez fight, but I believe it was that one. It was a close fight, sure, but Thiago Moises won it. And before that, from Moises, he got the fight, the win over Bobby Green. I will be the first to say Bobby Green won that fight, and Bobby Green beat Rafael Fiziev. I will stand on that hill for a very long time. And hey, look at Bobby Green now, beating Ally Quinta. Get that man in the top 15, man. But Moises before that has the nice ankle lock finish over Michael Johnson. He's got the loss to his Magulov, where he gets knocked down by his Magulov. The fight never hits the mat. And yeah, Moises has been in the UFC for a pretty long time. Made his debut against Beneil Dariush, I do believe, in 2018. Tough start to his UFC career. And hey, Beneil Dariush, man, is in a backup spot for Poirier Oliveira. If one of those guys gets hurt or catches COVID or can't make weight. I mean, hey, Beneil Dariush might be in a title fight in December. Who would have thought? If not, he's going to have to fight Islam Makhachev, and that's going to be tough for Dariush. But back to this fight, right? So Moises in his last fight took on Makhachev. I mean, what do you expect? That's all Islam Makhachev. We knew how good Moises' jiu-jitsu was, but in the end, it was that, Dagestani style, the AKA real wrestling out of Makhachev that won him the fight, and that's all right. That's going to happen to you. Makhachev's going to beat a lot of guys in this weight class, and honestly, he's, not looking at the guys in the top 5. You're looking at, I think Makhachev might be able to beat everyone at 155, not named, I don't know, Oliveira, Poirier, Gagey, Chandler, Dariush, and I think he could beat some of those guys. I think everyone else probably a sure thing Makhachev would win against. I mean, it's just pure facts to this point. Makhachev's so damn good, but Moises and Alvarez is a fight where I just don't know if this one ever hits the mat. Because Alvarez, again, not known for his own offensive takedowns. He's, his previous fights in the UFC, he's been taken down, and he's cool with that. But Joel Alvarez, not the best at getting fights to the ground. And Thiago Moises, you have to say it, tremendous defensive wrestler. So when you look at it, I think that's going to cancel itself out, and I think we're going to get a striking fight. So you look at Thiago Moises' last fight where he was striking. Alexander Hernandez, good power puncher, guy who can bring it on the feet. Moises outstrikes him. Joel Alvarez, I know his last fight was a pure striking fight, was Demir's Magulov, and it was a long time ago, 2019, sure, but he lost that fight. Thiago Moises' striking is better than Joel Alvarez, so Thiago Moises is going to beat Joel Alvarez. I don't think this one hits the mat. I don't think it will, because I think Alvarez will try to take down Moises. Moises is going to keep this one standing. Moises will never attempt to take down against Joel Alvarez. If he does, Alvarez will let him take him down, but I don't think Moises is going to want to do so, considering how good of a ground game Alvarez does have, and for my opinion, Moises is the better striker. So we're going to go with Thiago Moises to beat Joel Alvarez. I think he beats him on the feet. I'm going to go with Thiago Moises to win by decision. Good fight to open up the main card. It will be Song Yadong taking on Julio Arce. And for Song Yadong, his last fight, a very good performance on the main card of a pay-per-view. It was UFC 265 in Houston, Texas, beating Casey Kenny by split decision. I thought he won the fight pretty easily, and I was one who picked Casey Kenny. But yeah, Song Yadong looked very good in that one. He outstruck Casey Kenny in that fight. And yeah, kept the fight standing, got taken down once, but it was all Song Yadong in the feet. And for Julio Arce in his last fight, it was a good win on the Sandhagen and Dillashaw card in the UFC Apex. It was a win over Andre Ewell, finishing Ewell in the second round, showing the power that Julio Arce does have. And before that, he had that close fight against Hakeem Dawodu. Dawodu beats him. He had the fight with Arosa, beats Arosa, loses to Shimon Moraes, beats Daniel Tamor, beats Dan Ige, which keeps looking like a better and better performance for Julio Arce. He kept that fight standing, and he outstruck Dan Ige in that fight. So Arce is a good fighter, man. Takedown defense, some of the best in the weight class, and 93% takedown defense for Julio Arce. Not like Song Yadong is going to come in there and try to take him down. That's probably not going to happen. Song Yadong in his own right, good takedown defense as well. 60% rate for him. This is going to be a striking fight, man. This is going to be a great kickboxing fight. I'm excited to see it. Because Arce, again, he's had his troubles in the UFC. He has had the split decision loss to Shimon Moraes. He had the loss to Dawodu, but still, the head kick knockout over Arosa was very impressive. The win over Ewell looks good too. But for Song Yadong, man, I mean, this guy just keeps on winning. He comes in the UFC, picks up 3 straight wins. He beats Alejandro Perez in UFC 239. We haven't seen Perez since, and are we ever going to see Perez again? I don't know. Oh, wait, he beat Johnny Eduardo. I forgot that fight even happened. But yeah, I mean, Song Yadong, he goes and he beats Perez. He has that draw with Cody Stamann. He's got the win or the loss over, or he's got the win over Marlon Vera. He's got the loss to Kyler Phillips, where he did get taken down a couple times in that fight, but that's all right. Again, I don't think Arce is going to be shooting on Song Yadong, and he's got the win over Casey Kenny. That keeps looking better and better considering the guys that Casey Kenny's fought. And hey, Song Yadong beat a guy that Dominic Cruz had trouble with as well. So Yadong keeps getting better, fighting out of Team Alpha Male, of course, in Sacramento. The Uriah Faber camp keeps on improving really with Song Yadong. And yeah, I think we're going to see a good kickboxing fight in this one. I just saw Song Yadong outstrike Casey Kenny, and I saw Julio Arce outstrike Andre Ewell. Really, I think it's a close fight. I think, like, talent-wise, though, Song Yadong's been fighting the better fighters. He outstruck Marlon Chito Vera, who just brutally, I mean, it sucked to see, but brutally front-kicked. He front-kicked him in the face, as Joe Rogan once said. He Anderson Silva, Vitor Belfort, Frankie Edgar, and it sucked. But hey, Song Yadong beat that guy. And yeah, it was a close fight. Maybe Chito won that one, but Song Yadong beat Marlon Vera. He beat Casey Kenny. Julio Arce has some good ones in his own right, and sure, he will always have a puncher's chance in this one. He can always land that big shot against Song Yadong, but all around, the more balanced and the better striker is Song Yadong. So I think Song Yadong is going to beat Julio Arce. Do I think he finishes him? Don't think he will. Arce is a very tough guy to put away. He's only been finished once in his career, and it was by submission. It was against Brian Kelleher back for the Ring of Combat Championship 2016. I don't think he's going to get finished. I'm going to go Song Yadong to beat Julio Arce in a competitive, fun fight on the feet, but we're going to go with Song Yadong to win this one by decision. Now we've got Roman Dolidze taking on Kyle Daukaus. Dolidze coming in for Kevin Holland in this one, but actually Dolidze was supposed to take on Eric Anders on this card, but instead we get Dolidze and Daukaus because of Anders and Kevin Holland both pulling out their respective fights. For Roman Dolidze, coming off a big win over Laureano Staropoli, landed a bunch of takedowns in that fight, won that one by unanimous decision, all 30-27s across the board. About 10 minutes of control time in that entire fight for Roman Dolidze. Looked very good. The offensive wrestling was still there, considering his fight before that he had against Trevin Giles. He loses that one by unanimous decision, and really Dolidze started to fade towards the end of that fight. Still landed a couple takedowns in that one, but did not get the way of the judges' scorecards. He had 29-28s across the board for Trevin Giles. It was Dolidze's first loss in the UFC, but he's fighting a guy here in Kyle Daukaus, coming off that no contest against Kevin Holland, a fight where, yeah, it was the accidental headbutt. It knocked down Kevin Holland, and Daukaus took advantage and sunk in the rear naked choke and won the fight. For good reason, it was a no contest. That's how the call should have been. So before that for Daukaus, though, he had the loss to Phil Hawes, where Phil Hawes looked very good with the offensive wrestling in that one. Kyle Daukaus just really couldn't get going. It was all Hawes in that fight. 30-26, 30-26, 29-27 for Phil Hawes, who just lost to Chris Curtis, got knocked out pretty quickly in his last fight. Unfortunate, but for Kyle Daukaus, before that, started his UFC run 1-1. He had the loss to Brendan Allen, competitive fight on Poirier Hooker, but Brendan Allen did what he needed to do, won the fight on the ground, out-controlled Kyle Daukaus once the fight hit the mat, and then the Dustin Stoltzfus fight, where Daukaus won back on UFC 255, looked very good in that one, outstruck Stoltzfus, and also worked the takedowns pretty well in that fight as well. Held Dustin Stoltzfus down for a pretty long time in that one. So we're just going to see the Roman Dolidze, Kyle Daukaus again. Dolidze coming back to 185. He was fighting someone at 205 in the promotion, but he had the Trevin Giles fight at 185. He had the Loriano Staropoli fight at 185, and of course here against Daukaus, this one is at 185 as well. Striking wise, we know Roman Dolidze is always going to have a lot of power. He always throws a spinning back fist, kind of like Merab Dvalishvili. He's always going to throw that thing. He's got a lot of power on the feet, but you look at Kyle Daukaus. Now, does Daukaus have the most power? No, he doesn't, but really a good volume striker in Daukaus. And again, Daukaus is always trying to set up for that takedown. But Kyle Daukaus offensive wrestling, not great, 27% accuracy so far in the UFC. For Roman Dolidze, has the competition been as good as the guys Kyle Daukaus has been fighting? No, it hasn't. I mean, you got Ibrahimov where he knocked down his first fight. John Allen, he won by split decision. Didn't look pretty good against Dustin Jacoby in his last fight on Saturday. He lost to Trevin Giles and beat Staropoli. For Daukaus, I mean, you're taking on top 15 fighter Kevin Holland. You're taking on potentially top 15 fighter in Phil Hawes if he didn't lose to Chris Curtis. Top 15 fighter in Brendan Allen, and Dustin Stolfs is solid in his own right. So you got Daukaus and Dolidze here. I don't know if Daukaus will be able to get that takedown because Roman Dolidze's defensive wrestling is okay. It's solid, but his ground game's so good as well. On the ground though, pure jiu-jitsu wise though, I'll go Daukaus. Offensive wrestling though, all Roman Dolidze. On the feet, it's just a matter of can Dolidze land that big power shot or can Kyle Daukaus pepper him up with strikes and use the volume effectively. I think I'll ever so slightly go with Kyle Daukaus. I've picked Roman Dolidze in every fight that he's been in the UFC. I picked him to beat Ibrahimov, Allen, Giles, and Staropoli, but for the first time I'm picking against the Georgian fighter in Dolidze. I think Kyle Daukaus is going to get him, and I think he beats him by decision. Now we've got a fight here at women's featherweight. It is between the former title challenger and Felicia Spencer, and she's taking on Leah Letson. Felicia Spencer coming off that loss to Norma Dumont on the Font Garbrandt card. It was a split decision. If we're being real, I thought Norma Dumont won that fight pretty convincingly. But yeah, you had a 30-27, you had a 29-28, and a 28-29. So you had 3 rounds to nothing on one card for Dumont. You had 2-1 for Dumont, and then the other one 2-1 for Spencer. Didn't get those cards, but yeah, I thought Dumont won that one. Felicia Spencer, again, her striking couldn't really get going in that one. And obviously for Felicia Spencer, very good ground fighter. She couldn't get the fight to the ground, so not much happening else on that fight. So before that for Spencer, though, she had the fight against Amanda Nunes. What do you want me to say? We knew how that fight was going to play out. As soon as it was announced, it was ridiculous. Amanda Nunes wiped the floor with Felicia Spencer. Spencer before that had that win over Zara Ferran dos Santos. She lands a takedown, finishes it on the ground by TKO. She has the fight against Cyborg where, I mean, she gets outstruck 122-38 in that one, but that's the fight everyone remembers. Oh, hey, Felicia Spencer did okay in that fight. She went 0 for 8 on her takedowns, really didn't do much in that fight, but she stuck in with Cyborg for 3 rounds, and she was in there for 5 rounds with Amanda Nunes. If anything, Felicia Spencer is a tough damn fighter, and you're probably not going to get her out of there. So that's something to, she's been in there with Cyborg for 3 rounds for 15 minutes, and Nunes for 25 minutes. It's tough to put away Felicia Spencer. I'll be the first to say it. I don't think Leah Letson's going to be the first one to do it. So before that, for Felicia Spencer, though, she has the win over Megan Anderson by rear naked choke, and then she's got the wins over in Invicta, winning the Invicta Featherweight Championship against Pam Sorensen by rear naked choke in 2018. Then, of course, she took the Megan Anderson fight, and she won. And the rest has been history for Felicia Spencer. For Leah Letson, she has not fought since November of 2018 on the Ultimate Fighter finale show against Julia Stoliarenko. She wins that one by split decision, and what Leah Letson does bring to the table, she's a good striker. She has decent power at 145, and she's a real featherweight fighter, not like some of these fighters coming up from 135, like an Aspen Ladd, like a Holly Holm, like a Zara Ferran dos Santos, and what we used to think Norma Dumont was. But now Norma Dumont, an actual 145 pounder, she's actually staying at featherweight. But Leah Letson is a true featherweight. This is her weight class, and you look at her previous fights before the Ultimate Fighter, she's got wins in King of the Cage and Invicta respectively, picking up a big head kick knockout win over Elizabeth Phillips in 1 minute in 2017. Then she got into the Ultimate Fighter, she beats Bia Malecki in the first round, loses to Macy Chasson by with a knee to the body that Chasson does land in the first round, and then she takes the fight with Julia Stoliarenko on the Ultimate Fighter finale show. She wins it by unanimous decision. I think it was actually a split decision, excuse me, yeah. She outstrikes Stoliarenko in that one, 88-66. Good fight for Leah Letson. Again, though, she hasn't fought since. It's been 3 years, and it's going to be striker versus grappler, so it's really, can Felicia Spencer land the takedown on Letson? If she can't, I think Leah Letson's going to have some success in the feet, but come on, Felicia Spencer's going to beat Leah Letson. I don't think it's going to be all that close. I think it's going to be Spencer immediately shooting. She's probably going to land that takedown. She'll get the fight to the ground, and she'll probably sink in something like a rear naked choke in the first round. And that's why we're going to go with Felicia Spencer to submit Leah Letson in the first round. Don't think this one's going to be all too competitive at featherweight. Again, going Spencer with the win. Co-main event time in the heavyweight division. It is Big Ben Rothwell taking on Marcos Rodrigo de Lima. And for de Lima, coming off that big win, I guess, over Maurice Green. Okay, it was boring as hell. I mean, come on. That fight was so boring. He goes in there, he lands a takedown on Green, and he just keeps positioning for the entire round, and then more of the same in the second, more of the same in the third. It was pretty bad. Herb Dean was telling him, hey, you gotta engage, because, I mean, he wasn't doing anything on the ground. De Lima's got 14 minutes of control in that fight, and he lands 14 strikes. I mean, Maurice Green landed 5. One of the worst heavyweight fights of all time. It was so bad. And now De Lima's in a co-main event spot against Ben Rothwell, a fighter who's been in the top 5 before. But for De Lima, I mean, he's traded wins and losses ever since he's made his UFC debut, really. I mean, he picked up 2 straight wins to start his UFC career, then he loses to Nikita Krylov. He beats Clint Hester. He gets submitted by Antagulov. He wins the fight. He gets Von Flewed by OSP. He wins another one. He goes back to heavyweight where he wins, or yeah, where he got that one. He loses to Stefan Struve. Yeah, he gets subbed by Stefan Struve. Stefan Struve didn't land a single strike in that fight. And he submitted him. I mean, come on. And then after that, for De Lima, he's got the win over Ben Sassoli, who's not a UFC caliber fighter. He gets mauled by Romanov, and then he's got the boring fight against Maurice Green. Yeah. So for De Lima, though, like, when De Lima's on his game and when he's wrestling his opponents and when he's able to get on top and when he's able to put on his offensive wrestling, he's good. I mean, look at the fights. The Maurice Green fight, even though it was boring, you know, he put the pressure on that one and he kept landing takedowns. When he made his heavyweight debut, more of the same. When he beat Clint Hester, when he subbed him by an arm triangle, it's more of the same. De Lima can maul you on the ground. He can overwhelm you on the ground if he can land a takedown pretty early. But I've also seen fights where De Lima, if he doesn't have the better jiu-jitsu, Antagulov was on bottom on that fight with, Antagulov actually took him down and submitted him with the guillotine. A minute into the fight, you got the OSP fight. OSP lands a takedown, submits him with the Von Flue. Stefan Struve takes him down, submits him with an arm triangle. Romanov takes him down, submits him with a forearm choke. Right? So if De Lima's the one on bottom, and if De Lima can't land a takedown, and he's getting taken down, which is taking down defense, not very good. If De Lima's the one getting taken down, he's in trouble. And you're taking on a guy in Ben Rothwell, who, Ben Rothwell, is he the best offensive wrestler? No, he's not, but Ben Rothwell's defensive wrestling, very solid, 70% takedown defense rate in the UFC. He has not been taken down in the promotion in a very long time. You got to go all the way back to when he got taken down by Gabriel Gonzaga back in January of 2013 was the last time he's been taken down. It's been a while. I don't think, or sorry, I forgot about the Tabura fight. Other than Tabura fight, I mean, yeah, I think he got taken down by Tabura, and Tabura held him down for about 3 minutes. Other than that fight, though, it's been Gabriel Gonzaga. De Lima is not on the level of Marcin Tybura is, where Tybura works in the clinch, really works for his takedowns, try drag fights down to the ground. De Lima is not at that level of a guy like Marcin Tybura is in the offensive wrestling category. He's not. Ben Rothwell, if you keep this fight standing with Rothwell and De Lima, Ben Rothwell is going to pick apart Marcos Rodrigo de Lima. I just think he's going to. Rothwell's got heavy hands. His striking keeps looking good. Like the OSP fight, even though he did get knocked down in the last 3 seconds of that fight, the first 2 rounds, really the third round, was a very impressive performance for Big Ben Rothwell. The Stefan Struve fight, is he losing to start? Definitely, but he comes back, he just goes for it in that second round, and he knocks out Stefan Struve. Give the assist to Dan Miragliotta as well. But Rothwell, man, he's always in the fight. He's got a very good chin, does Ben Rothwell. Looking for win number 40 at 40 years of age. And look at the ground. If this fight hits the ground, I don't think De Lima is going to be able to take down Ben Rothwell. Do I think Ben Rothwell can be able to take down Marcos Rodrigo de Lima? I think it's entirely possible. I definitely think it is. You look at Rothwell's last fight, it's a good win over a guy here in Chris Barnett, who just got that wheel kick knockout over Jan Vellante. The man's gone viral, has Chris Barnett, but Ben Rothwell in his UFC debut for Barnett took Barnett down in the second round. He subbed him with, I believe it was a Bravo choke, if I'm not mistaken. The UFC put it as a guillotine, but it's a Bravo choke, as Rothwell will say. And yeah, he submitted Chris Barnett. That's how Rothwell can fight. He can also fight in the feet, but if the fight hits the mat, I've seen De Lima been submitted 5 times in the UFC. Kirillov and Tagulov, St. Preux, Romanov, and Struve. Who's to say Ben Rothwell won't be the next? But also, I could see a world where Ben Rothwell just pieces up De Lima on the feet as well. So that's why I'm kind of hesitant on taking a submission win for Rothwell. Even though I'm going to do it, I think Ben Rothwell eventually will get this fight to the ground. It might be from a knockdown, but eventually Ben Rothwell will get this fight to the ground. He's going to submit De Lima. I think Ben Rothwell with the second round sub I think he gets it done. Main event time, here we go. Max Holloway versus Yair Rodriguez. It is a #1 contenders fight. The winner should be fighting Alexander Volkanovski for the featherweight championship. We should see some tremendous boxing in this fight between Holloway and Rodriguez. We should. Yair Rodriguez has not fought since 2019. He was the co-main event on Reyes and Weidman, where he beat Jeremy Stephens in their rematch. And for Max Holloway, man, oh my goodness, that fight against Calvin Kattar was one of the most brutal fights I've ever seen. Max Holloway, 445 significant strikes landed in that fight against Calvin Kattar. Dominant. He scored a 10-7 round. I mean, you got 50 42s from Max Holloway. One of the best performances you are going to ever see in the octagon. And it's tough for Yair Rodriguez to beat this guy. It's going to be tough. Because Yair Rodriguez, he had the 2 fights with Stephens. The first one was an eye poke, 15 seconds in the fight. We can excuse that one. That one doesn't count. The second Jeremy Stephens fight, does Rodriguez's striking look good in that one? Sure it does. He outstrikes Jeremy Stephens. He gets up from the takedowns that Stephens does land. And it's a good one for Yair Rodriguez. The fight before that though, was the Chan Sung Jung fight. The Chan Sung Jung fight that Zombie was on his way to win that one 49-46. He was outstriking Yair Rodriguez, and Rodriguez lands that big elbow with 1 second left and puts down the Korean Zombie in their final exchange of the fight. That's something you always have to watch out for from Yair Rodriguez. He's got incredible power. You saw that, I guess, in the BJ Penn fight, more in the Andre Fili fight there where he does land that head kick knockout, but Rodriguez's power is always going to be there throughout the fight. And the Zombie fight, we're giving you, look at the numbers, it is very close. But like, if you're watching the fight, you knew Zombie was probably going to win that one 4-1. He was outstriking Yair Rodriguez in every single round except for probably the last one. But still, Rodriguez comes back, he lands the big elbow, and he ends the fight. So that's something Max Holloway is always going to have to be worried about. But, I mean, Max Holloway, man. I mean, this guy's striking is just insane. Insane. I thought he beat Volk in the second fight. I thought he lost the first one, but still, Max Holloway's boxing is so good. I mean, you saw it in his last fight. He said it for a reason. I'm the best boxer in the UFC. He might be. He might be. Max Holloway's boxing is so crisp. You looked at his last fight too with Calvin Kattar. The elbows that he was throwing in the second round, nasty as well. The striking from Max Holloway keeps on getting better and better. The Zoom training worked in his last fight. What's to say it's not in the Yair Rodriguez fight? Because no disrespect to Yair Rodriguez, but this guy hasn't fought since 2019. You look at his wins in the UFC. Sure, are they good wins? Yeah, it's a split win over Charles Rosa. He's got the win over Dan Hooker. He's got the win over Fili where he lands that knockout, the head kick knockout. He's got the 5-round decision fight, a split decision with the now ranked fighter in Alex Caceres. It's a close fight. I believe that was in Utah, if I'm not mistaken. And then he's got the win over BJ Penn. That fight should never happened. You got the loss to Frankie Edgar where Edgar just dominates him. Really weird, but Frankie Edgar just batters Yair Rodriguez in that fight. And then you got the Zombie fight that he wins in the 2 Stephens fights, and now we're here. Max Holloway, I mean, you look at the wins recently. Ever since he won the title, he beats Anthony Pettis. He beats Aldo twice. He dominates Brian Ortega. He's got the close fight with Dustin Poirier, which he does lose, up at 55. He beats Frankie Edgar, loses twice to Volkanovski in 2 very questionable decisions, and then he beats Calvin Kattar in one of the biggest mismatches in UFC history. And that's not to say Calvin Kattar is a bad fighter, because Calvin Kattar is going to be in a main event in January against Giga Chikadze in a fight where Calvin Kattar's got a legitimate shot to win, and Calvin Kattar for his own right, landed 150 strikes on Max Holloway in that one. The problem is Max Holloway landed 450. This fight's not going to hit the ground. I don't see it happening. It's going to be a pure boxing fight. And is anyone beating Max Holloway in a pure boxing fight? Because the pathway to beat Max Holloway is simple. Okay, it's not simple, but it's the way Alexander Volkanovski did it. You got to mix the striking with the wrestling. Even though, again, Volkanovski, once he got the takedowns in the second Max Holloway fight, couldn't do much with it in the first fight. Yeah, Volkanovski just outstruck Max Holloway, but still, Holloway, you can argue, won that fight too. I don't think Yair Rodriguez is that guy, though, to beat Max Holloway in this setting. I don't think he's going to be coming off over a 2-year layoff. You're going to have to come in there. You're going to have to outbox Max Holloway probably for 5 rounds because Max Holloway is a very tough guy to finish. He's never been finished with strikes ever in his career. His only losses by submission. And oh, by the way, that is Dustin Poirier in his 5th pro fight at UFC 143. I don't think Yair Rodriguez is that guy who can be perfect for 25 minutes against Max Holloway. It's such a tough task to do considering the guys Holloway's beat very recently and the way he's looked against Calvin Kattar, the way he looked against Brian Ortega, the Aldo fights, the Volkanovski fight. Again, I just don't think Yair Rodriguez is that guy to beat Max Holloway. And again, can Rodriguez always land that big power shot? 100%. You saw that in the Zombie fight, but again, you don't pick guys based on, I think he can land one big power shot and end the night. I'm taking the guy who I know landed 450, broke the 450 strikes in his last fight, broke the significant strikes record, or strikes record, landed in the UFC with his last win earlier this year against Calvin Kattar. No chance in hell Max Holloway does not win this fight. It is a lock. The only way Rodriguez is going to win this one is if he catches Holloway early. I don't think it's going to happen. We're going Max Blessed Holloway to get his rematch with Alexander Volkanovski with the win tonight over Yair Rodriguez, and he's going to get it done by decision. I don't think he's going to be able to finish Rodriguez. I don't think he will, but we're going to go Holloway by decision. I think it's going to be very similar to the Calvin Kattar fight. I think it's going to be pure domination, maybe to the point where Holloway could have finished him late in the 5th, late in the 4th, but we will go the safe bet. Max Holloway will outpoint Yair Rodriguez. You're looking maybe like a 50-43 decision win for Max Holloway. Give him Alexander Volkanovski later next year. And folks, thank you all for watching this UFC preview and predictions here with the main event, Max Holloway and Yair Rodriguez. We'll be back next week with the main event being Miesha Tate and Ketlen Vieira. It's not a horrible card. Some good fights on that one. I believe Sean Brady and Michael Chiesa is on that one too. It's a good card from the UFC Apex next week. But for now, Holloway and Rodriguez this Saturday night. Thank you all for watching, folks. Make sure that subscribe button down below for more. And Mamba forever.